What's up guys, Ibambe here, and today I'm going to be giving some tips and tricks about Blitz and how to be efficient as possible and get the most out of your troubles. The topics simply are going to be Blitz rotations, scrap tunes, teams you face, tier selection, Blitz save squads, Blitz charges, event blitzes, and rest days. I might have repeated one of those, but it's okay. We're going to run through all that, so let's get started. Now, as we can see here, I'm already at tier 8.2, but what I'm going to do, which kind of coincides with Blitz rotations and tiers, is that I'm going to drop all the way down to tier 1. Now, this might take a few moments, but I can run through the other bits and pieces while we're doing that. So Blitz rotations. What are Blitz rotations? The simple way of putting it is going from one tier to another using all of your Blitz saved squads. And Blitz saved squads is another topic that we're going to come through later. The reason why this is so effective is because you get the most out of your tunes. Now, fortunately, up until a certain level, I think it's 75 where you get 30 saved squads. Whether or not we're going to get more when we hit levels 80 is to come. But nevertheless, as we see here, we're running down the tiers, which I'm going to explain why. So we start off at tier 1, for example. That's the start of our Blitz rotation. Now, if you have pre-saved squads set up for your scrap tunes, also another topic, this will be a lot quicker. But we're not trying to rush the information we're presenting here, so we'll just go through it bit by bit. So once again, Blitz rotations. You start off at tier 1. Let's say you have 20 saved squads. That in total gets you to tier 5. Because each tier is 4 battles. So tier 1, 4. Tier 2, 4, that's 8. Tier 3, 4, that's 12. Tier 4, 4, that's 16. And tier 5, well, so you'll start in tier 6, but you'll end at tier 5. So in total, you use 20 saved squads. Now, let's say you have some scrap tunes. And what are you going to do with those scrap tunes? They can't win at tier 5 because they're too weak or they're too imbalanced. So what do? You use your tunes, as I'm doing now, your scrap tunes that is, and you drop down as far back as possible. Now you're wondering, so hold on, so why am I doing this? The reason you're doing this is so that you get easier battles when you start your rotation again. Now, if you are, of course, trying to go very hard in blitzes and very far and trying to get the most efficient points as possible, then sure, you're going to want to stay in tier 8.3. But the reason why rotations come in handy mostly are because of the event milestones. And what do I mean by event milestones? Well, in the past, we've had some specific events, such as the Valentine event, which had Cyclops. Then we had recently the Symbiote milestone. Well, not the Symbiote milestones, but we had the Masked Capers event. And during this Masked Caper event, we were granted a range of orb fragments per Blitz win. And the reasoning that people would drop down to the bottom tier is because you don't want to be struggling to get those orb fragments. You want to get those orb fragments as easily and as quickly as possible, so that when it comes to your next rotation, you can be as quickly as possible. Because who wants to spend time blitzing? I know I don't, and I'm sure you don't too. But carrying on, as I said, the effective purpose of Blitz rotations is speed, accuracy, reliability, and simple points. After Blitz got its rework, the point system was, I say upgraded, but really it was downgraded in a sense. People used to be getting hundreds of thousands of points, at tier 8.3. Now, I'd say the maximum you can get is just around 100,000. I haven't got there yet because my highest team's only about 400k. Is it? Yeah, 450k. And at tier 8.3, I can get 80,000 points, thereabouts. So we're going to carry on running down these teams. I'm actually going to use some of my scrap teams here. I'm not going to, manually select each and every one. It's going to take some time. But yeah, so Blitz rotations, you start from one tier and you end at another, and then you drop down using your scrap teams, and then rinse and repeat. Next thing that we want to talk about are teams you face. Now, the teams that you face are very important. Why is this? You can face synergized teams, you can face unsynergized teams, and if your teams themselves aren't that well balanced in terms of level, tiers, and red stars, then it might give you actually, funnily enough, just like something here, we can see that my Scientist Supreme is 64,000, whereas the rest of my AIM teams, AIM minions and members are only at 20,000. So if we have a look at the Merc team on the right, we'll see that the Merc Lieutenant is at 54,000, whilst the other characters are also around the same power as mine. Now, why is this a problem? Depending on synergy, you will have difficulty, or you can have difficulty against certain teams. Now, fortunately for AIM, they've got the ability to swap to revert debuffs into positive effects. So they won't struggle too much. But let's have a look at this team. Now, this is a perfect example of a really unbalanced team. And you're probably wondering, why do I have this? I was just trying to make as best of a synergized team I could have with the scrap tunes that I have. And I don't really use these tunes elsewhere. So, once again, another perfect example is this. This is very unbalanced. I mean, would I be able to win? Yes, I would. But if the purpose is just to lose a battle, then it's not too much of a problem. So carrying on, why are teams that you face very important? The higher you go up in the tiers, the more difficult the teams you are going to face are. So you don't really want to have unbalanced teams the higher you go. The higher you go, as I said, the harder the teams are. And if you have a really unbalanced team, let's say X-Men, for example. Now, with X-Men, you're not going to suffer too much, especially if you've got a very strong Dark Phoenix, or Phoenix for that matter. However, if you say, I don't know, let's pick a good team. A Defenders team, I say good team. We'll pick Defenders. You have a very, very strong Punisher, for example. But you go and face... Let's say you go and face... let's say you face another Defenders. You have a very strong Punisher, but they have a very strong Iron Fist. Now, that Iron Fist is going to be healing a lot, assuming the passive comes through. Your Punisher can do a lot of damage, sure. But you're going to be outmatched in terms of healing. And those are the key things that you have to remember. Synergy beats everything. And not just synergy, it's the character order in which you defeat. So I'll give you an example. I'll stay on this team. Now, obviously this team is unsynergized. But who would I want to take out first? Well, I know that Crossbones is going to taunt. I know Punisher is going to use his ultimate. I know Deadpool's going to use his ultimate. Elektra will stealth. So if you had a team with Disrupt, for example, you could disrupt her so that she remains visible. But I'm not going to have any problems with this team because they're so unsynergized. And to be honest, apart from Deadpool, no one can clear the negative effects. But once again, we're running down to the basic to the bottom tier. The next thing I'd say to talk about is tier selection. For newer players, you're going to have difficulty understanding what tier you're going to get the most points at and how to get there in an efficient way as possible. Because obviously everyone worries about, oh, I'm not getting enough points at the low tiers, and oh, I need to get higher, but you don't. If you have an efficient and reliable Blitz rotation, even if you're getting, let's say, a minimum of 20,000 points per rotation, and that's obviously when you're when you're a newer player. Even if you're getting a minimum of 20,000 Blitz points per rotation, it's still reliable. You're not going to lose any battles. You're more likely to get farther by just staying at smaller tiers. Now, I'm not saying too small, right? We don't want to stay too small. But you want to find the median. You want to find what works for you and your teams, because everyone's got different teams. So this is our last battle that we're going to drop down to, and then we're going to start from tier 1. And the reason why I'm showing this is because it gives insight to how effective your Blitz rotations should be. So we've gone and used about 5 teams, and now I have 18 remaining teams to Blitz with. And I know for a fact that I can auto all of these and win all of these. And, you know, when you're against the clock, if you're in a rush, or if you're trying to get as many orb fragments, as I was mentioning earlier, relating to event milestones, you don't want to be spending your time thinking about, oh, which team do I want to face, and oh, which team's going to win, because you're going to win no matter what. So let's say here, for example, that, I mean, this is actually quite funny that this happens. Rhino here is going to dispel the blinds that Magneto puts on his team. So we'll just change that, and we'll pick this team. Deadpool, of course, can flip the debuffs on himself. But again, we have enough power from our team that it's not going to matter. I could literally auto this with my eyes closed and I wouldn't have to worry. The next thing I'll talk about are Blitz saved squads. Now, you'll probably notice that there might be some repetition with what I'm saying, but that's because everything kind of goes hand in hand here. Blitz saved squads are very important, and as I said, repetition is going to be very common here, but not in the sense that I'm forgetting what I'm talking about. It's just they all go hand in hand. So Blitz save squads. It's better to have synergized teams. And what do I mean by synergized teams? We'll have a look at this Brotherhood team right here that I just used. They're all mutants. Well, apart from Juggernaut, my apologies. They're all part of the Brotherhood. They have the Brotherhood tag, so they're synergized in that sense. Brotherhood, Blob and Toad have good synergy. Magneto and Juggernaut have good synergy, and that's how their kits work the most efficiently. If I were to say slot out Magneto and put in Crossbones, it'll still work, but just not as well. Another reason why saved squads are so, they speed up the blitz time is because as you can see, I can just navigate through all of my blitz squads here and not have to go into the menu and click, I need to take this guy out, I need to put this guy in, these teams don't work well. Just set aside 10-20 minutes, if you have that, go through all of your blitz teams or your blitz toons, and then set the squads up. Now, if you're like me and you've got a bit of OCD, you're going to arrange them in order of strength, but you don't have to do that, whatever works for you. But I think that works best because if you're going up the tiers, you want to start from the lowest power and then build your way up to the higher powers. So carrying on, this team's not going to be a problem. We'll just jump straight into it and we'll stick on auto. The next thing I'm going to talk about is Blitz charges. Now, Blitz charges are, I'd say, fairly easy to gain, but they're also easy to lose. And what do I mean by this? As a later stage player, you're going to have an abundance of Blitz charges. You're more often than not never going to run out. As a newer player, however, they might just use and use and use and use without thinking of what consequences that's going to leave behind. And what do I mean by this? Well, I'll tell you. Every single week, you have 3 medical supply run events. In the early stages, you're only going to have 20, 25, 30, 40, 50, 70, and then all the way up here, do you get 90? Well, actually, you get 90 from from tier 9, but that's not the point. What I'm trying to say is that early on, you don't get as many blitz charges. You get 100 from your daily objectives, and then on Monday or Sunday, depending on where you are in the world, you're going to get, let's say, if that's 20 a day, and there's 3 events a week, you're going to get 60 in one day, so that's 180 maximum from the challenges, but a total of 700 for the week. So that's 850. Sorry, my apologies. 60, 180, 700. That's it. We'll come back to that later. So yeah, 60 in one day times that is 180, and you get 700. So that's 880 blitz charges you can get in 1 week as a newer player. Once you go up to the later stages, you get 270 per day per medical supply run, but times 3, because you get 3 a week, that's 200 times 3, which is 600. That's 810 plus the additional 700 you get. That's 1500 a week you get. So you want to use them as efficiently as possible. If there's a blitz that you really want to go very hard for, then use them, but use them wisely, because this is where the key topic about blitz charges comes in. When you use one team, each toon that you use part of that team requires 5 blitz charges to reuse. If I use this team 4 times, or if I use one individual toon 4 times, their required blitz charges will go up by double. So from 5 it goes to 10, and then from 10 it actually goes up to 25. So just a little bit above. So it can be very costly, and you don't want to be using your blitz charges on weak teams. You want to use them on the strongest teams possible. So let me give you an example. Now, I'm gonna carry on with this rotation, and I'll show you what I'm talking about, because I am actually trying to blitz for ghosts at the moment. We're at 17 million at the moment, and oh, I tell you, I don't like blitz, but I know that people need help, so that's what I'm here for. So yeah, you want to be careful with the blitz charges you use. You do get them every week. You do get them, every few days and whatnot. But they are precious resources. You don't want to be short on them, especially if there's a blitz that you want to work towards. Now we did briefly mention event blitzes earlier, but I'm simply just going to kind of go back on what it was that I wanted to emphasize on when it comes to blitz events. As you can see here, we just got 10 blitz credits. Normally, during an event milestone, we get an additional array of orb fragments. Those orb fragments go towards a collection of towards a collection of the orb, and when you open the orb, more often than not, you get to open that specific orb, which contributes points towards a milestone. And these milestones, I'd say, are relatively challenging to get to. Some of the event orb frags that drop from the blitz wins themselves range between 50, 100, 150, 375, 1,000, and 2,000. So the more you blitz, the higher chance you have of getting the higher drops. The less you blitz, well, I think that's self-explanatory. And that's why with tomorrow's event, actually, with the symbiote event, even though this probably would have been a bit better to explain further by doing it tomorrow, but you get what I'm trying to say. Now, lastly, I think this is the important thing you guys have to remember here. Rest days. Now, what do I rest days on a game? I mean, game's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to be relaxing. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. You are supposed to, but at the same time, some people blitz themselves to the core, right? On blitzes that you don't particularly want to go for, the best thing I would suggest is try to push just for the milestones, because there are still rewards in those milestones. And believe it or not, I made a spreadsheet which I think I will be making a video of in the not so distant future. And to put it simply, just from completing the milestones for the 3 different blitz events from the 3 different blitz events there are a week. I say 3, but it's technically 4, because on Monday or Sunday, again depending on where you're living or where you are in the world, there's the premium orb and the red star orb blitzes, in addition to 2 character specific events a week. And I have it here, and what I'll do, I'll actually change my let me go ahead and show you exactly what I'm talking about. So, what do we have here? As you can see, this is my blitz calculation spreadsheet. I'm just going to make that slightly larger. Don't think it's come in as best as I wanted it to. Okay, professionalism at its finest. Oh, dearie me. 1 second, guys. Right. Oh, this thing is so fidgety. Okay, here we go. So what am I talking about? So as I said, you get 4 events a week. You have your Monday premium and red star orb blitzes. You have your Tuesday or Monday again. I'm not going to specify on the individual dates. The idea is that you get 4 blitz events a week. You can get 910,000 gold just from completing the milestones. You get 7,660 blitz credits from completing the milestones, and everything else you see in front of you: blitz orb fragments, raid charges, character shards, basic orb fragments, premium orb fragments, and red star orb fragments. And those are really important to help your character, to help your profile grow. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to swap back over to the we're going to swap back over to our game as smoothly as possible, and crack on with the rest of the instructions. So what did we cover today? We covered blitz rotations, scrap tunes, teams you face, so the unsynergized and synergized teams, tier selections to work out what tier works best for you. I think that's a little bit too large. There we go. I shouldn't have messed anything around. Okay, I think that pretty much covers it. Actually, I think that pretty much covers it. If you have any questions, what I'd say is that I'm going to post my Discord and my Twitch in the link below. You're more than welcome to come to the server, and you're more than welcome to come to my Twitch. I stream every single day. So if you're around, come through and ask me some questions. Thank you guys for watching, and take care.